In this week's Football Fun Factory podcast, we will be discussing who is more important, the players or the coach. Chaddy, you played professional football. Tell us a little bit about player power within the changing room, within your experiences.
Yeah, I don't think there was any ever sort of mutiny against the coaches, the managers when I was playing. It was a case of being respectful of the manager, of the coach. So, yeah.
Cool, interesting. James, from a coach's perspective, have you ever had any problem with player power?
I don't think so. I've seen it within the professional game and within senior football, but with children, quite often it's not too much of a problem.
Cool. Well, let's put this topic on trial and see who is more important, the players or the coach. So here we are in Judge Johnny's court, and I'm dressed up for the very last time within this series as the judge, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. But we're going to put this topic on trial. We've got two opposing statements that the guys haven't seen as of yet, and they're going to see it for the very first time, and then they're going to fight that corner regardless whether they believe it or not. James, Chad, James, can you please kick us off and read your opening statement?
Sure. The coach is the most important member of the team. Without them, there is no team. It is simple. It is as simple as that.
Nice, short and sharp. Very good. Luke Chadwick, can you please read your opening statement?
Of course. The players and children are the most important part of the team. They are the lifeblood. That is what football is all about. The children.
Nice. Well, James, I'd like you to be put on the stand first.
Sure.
So, can you please elaborate on your opening statement? And Chaddy, can you please question him?
Yeah, so my statement says that the coach is the most important member of the team, and without them, there is no team. I think it's incredibly important for the coach to be respected. You talked about respect earlier on, and I feel that's where the game has changed in recent years. So back in your playing days in the 1960s, the coaches were ultimately respected, the players were ultimately respectful, whereas nowadays, these little children, 7, 8 years old, they're turning up wearing their red boots, they're coming to training sessions, on their big goal bonuses that we've been talking about, and they think they're more important than the coach, and they don't have the respect, they don't respect them as an adult, and therefore it's the opposite of what we're trying to achieve at Football Fun Factory. We're trying to instill life skills, but what we've got is children who feel that they're Ronaldo playing for the grassroots team, and it's really not good.
Interesting. So when you say that, is it like generalisation of more or less all children are like that within grassroots football?
No, I don't think all children. I think there's some fantastic little children that are playing, and I think there's some brilliant ethos and values, and especially those that come to the FFF that have had those instilled within them. But I do think there are probably a growing number and growing percentage of children that don't necessarily have the respect for the coach, and that comes from the parents too, in terms of then how they think and feel about their football participation, the fact that the coach is there setting up the goals, organising the team, and just feel that the level of respect within the game is diminishing.
Do you think it's the coach's responsibility as well, obviously putting themselves in that position to gain the respect of the children?
Yeah, I think so. I think the coach should set the boundaries in terms of their expectations, but ultimately it shouldn't need that. It really should come from the children themselves and their parents.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I've got any more questions.
Cool. Right. Chaddy, can you please remind the court of your opening statement? And James, can you please try and think of a few more questions, because this segment has to last a little bit longer.
The players and children are the most important part of the team. They are the lifeblood. That is what football is all about, the children. Like you said in your sort of opening statement, without the coach, there is no game, and exactly the same, without the children, there is no team to take part. They are, without doubt, the most important part of children's football. They are the ones that go up, give up their time, parents give up their time, take them all over, playing the games, go to training sessions, and they should be treated as such and sort of treated as really special, that they're there and they are so much more important than the coaches.
Great. So what do you feel the role of the coach is then? So if you were to summarise, so think of a under-10s grassroots girls football team, What would you say the role of the coach is?
The role of the coach is to put on fun, engaging sessions for the team to go and enjoy them, to have fun, to fall in love with football, really. I think that's the sole focus of the coach. Don't get me wrong, I know it's a challenging role when you're trying to get everyone to the same place at the same time, arranging games and all that, but the most important thing of the coach's role is to make sure the children are enjoying the activity that they're taking part in.
And with the sort of coaching element of it, that's very true of the delivery of the sessions, but there's so much to being the manager of a team, isn't there? It's almost that kind of coach versus manager or organiser, really, within grassroots football, because there's then also the setup of the goals before the game kicks off, the marking of the lines quite often sits with the manager, the organisation of the team, the speaking with parents throughout the week, the collecting subs, all those kind of things. And I feel that what happens is that the children then turn up, may or may not pay their subs, and sometimes what happens is the balance of kind of respect within that relationship falls on the coach rather than the children, where the coach is showing brilliant respect to all of the children and parents within the team, and that respect isn't reciprocated. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it is the coach's responsibility. He's obviously, when we're talking about he or she, what we're talking about here is working with young children. I think it's so important for a coach. And don't get me wrong, I get all that, the extra stuff that goes with it, but for me the most important bit is the delivery of the training or the coaching of the game that they're taking part in. And the coach's responsibility is to build the relationships with the children that are part of the team. And I think if you do that effectively, what we're talking about now in terms of the lack of respect, it doesn't happen because of how the coach has built an environment within that group of how they foresee him or her, of the way that they're delivering those programs that they're doing.
Do you feel? How do you feel from the parents' perspective? Because I feel that's also true from parents as well. That there's probably a lack of gratitude sometimes from parents, where they turn up on a Saturday and everything's done for them, and you know the goals are up, the lines are marked, and the coach has been out there since 8 o'clock in the morning for a 11 o'clock kickoff, and they rock up with a child, sometimes late, and then the balance just doesn't seem quite right for me. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the parents are potentially a bigger challenge than the children. Like you say, you take your child to the game, off they go, and you probably don't appreciate all the hard work that goes in with it. The parents stand on the side of the pitch a lot of the time sort of saying the coach isn't picking the right team in an under-7s, under-8s games. Well, I think that is more of a challenge and harder for the coach, because the coach's job is to deliver the sessions for the children and deliver the game for the children, and that's their responsibility. And I think you need the buy-in from the parents, because obviously that drive home, if the parents say, the coach has made the wrong decision again today, that goes off into the child and they sort of take that with them. So I think without doubt the parent side of things is the responsibility of the parent to buy into what the coach is doing, and the coach's responsibility is the children and not the parents.
And therefore, my closing argument would be that the parents aren't instilling those values into the children to understand that the coach is more important than the child.
Not all the time. I mean, that's not true in every case, but that's not the argument we've got today, is it? It's about the child and the coach. It's not about the coach and the parent. So in my mind, still the children are the most important thing and not the coach.
But the children, how they think and feel about themselves and their level of importance in relation to the coach is instilled in them by the parents.
Yeah, and again, that's not to say that every parent is instilling the wrong values into the children of how to treat and respect their coach.
Cool.
Right. Good argument, guys. Good debate. I'm torn this week. I can't decide. I'm the judge. I can do what I want. And the reason I'm doing that is because this week's prize is absolutely fantastic.
Wowzers.
anyone listening on the audio, you won't see. Get yourself over to the YouTube, subscribe while you're there. This is a Football Fun Factory framed shirt. So at the end of all of the debates, I award a winner. But today, I'm not going to. And I'm going to award the winner to myself.
No.
Because I want the prize.
It's ridiculous.
I'm the judge, I can do what I
mockery
want.
of the whole thing, Johnny.
Yeah. So, congratulations to me. I get this fantastic prize. Thanks for the debate, guys. Let's see what everyone really thinks. Great debate, guys. James, what do you really think? Who is more important, the coach or the players?
Depends who the coach is.
Very good.
I would say in children's football, 100%, it's more important that it's all about the children. It's about facilitating an environment. It's about creating brilliant experiences for them and being there for them to support them. Within senior football, the importance of the coach or the manager is pretty crucial, but ultimately, still without the players, so it's more of a balanced argument. I think if you're then looking at, why have Man City until now done really, really well over the last few years? Pep's played a massive part in that, and I don't think you could say that any one player has then played a bigger role than him. I think there'd be an argument for that. But interested to know what you think of that.
Yeah, I think it's an impossible question to answer because I don't think that the players or the coach are more important. I think you have to have, they've both got to be there, haven't they, to make it a game of football, to make it an opportunity for the coach to teach the players and develop the players, however it may be. So I think the most important thing is how the coach is delivering those programs, and I think that takes away a lot of the sort of issues and challenges that we were speaking about within the debate, because if the coach has got an inclusive, fun environment that the children are going into, then the kids are going to have loads of fun. They're going to develop both in a football sense, but sort of socially, psychologically as well. And I think it's not one is more important than the other. It has to be a combination of both to make it an effective environment for both parties to learn and enjoy it.
Agreed. I think it's that 50-50 split. I think what then makes that even better is when the coach thinks the split is more lean towards the children being the most important and the children thinking that the most important person is the coach. Because I think that's when you then get the outcomes that you sort of debated about earlier on, or you don't get the outcomes that you debated about earlier on. So obviously if the children think the coach is the most important, they respect them, they make sure they turn up on time, they listen to the coach when they're speaking, and then when the coach thinks that the children are the most important, they're then facilitating that brilliant environment.
Yeah, I think in children's football, once the coach considers him the most important person, the whole thing is broken, the whole game is broken, because it just takes away from everything that children's football should be all about. It should be all about them. It has to be about them because that's how they fall in love with the game. So I think that, like what you say there, in terms of the kids see the coach as the most important, but more importantly, the coach sees the children as the most important people within what they're doing.
Yeah, I think more than a comparison, it's about understanding the importance, isn't it? Is the children understanding the importance of the coach and the role that they play, and the importance of listening to them, respecting them, and understanding the role that they play within the team, and then for the coach to understand that they're there to facilitate a brilliant environment for the kids. Do you feel it changes with different age groups then? So let's talk about senior football. So in my example then of like the very best teams, if there's a FA Cup final, is it more likely to be the individual brilliance of a player that wins the game and wins the FA Cup, or is it more likely to be the individual brilliance of the coach or manager?
I think it's a combination, because you never really know, do you? Like, there's always going to be something's going to happen for the team to score more goals than the other, where you imagine part of that will be a bit of individual brilliance, but then it's the manager who's picked the team and got that player on the pitch at that time to do that. I think the best managers that I ever played for would always openly say it's about you. Like, we can't do anything from the sideline. It's all about you. And I think that's what the best managers do. They make it about the players. They make the players feel brilliant about themselves to go and perform at the best level possible. So I think that's...
Is that true though? So would Man United have been the force that they were without Sir Alex Ferguson?
Yeah, but I think, without a doubt, no, they wouldn't. But I think Sir Alex was always someone who was, it's all about you. Obviously, the way that he motivated the team, the way that he built the culture, the environment that made it so successful. But I think in his mind, like you were saying there, in the coach's mind, it's about the players, and about the players, the manager's the most important. I think that was probably what it was like at Manchester United, because Sir Alex was always about, we can't do anything from the sideline. It's up to you to go and sort of win the game.
Do you think that's changed? So that type of manager, does that exist anymore? Are there players that feel, whatever the manager says, that's what we believe in, you're the most important, you give us the information? Does that still exist, or is that dying out?
I think at the very top, it 100% still exists. I mean, you watch the documentary about Manchester City, and you see Pep, and you see the players are hanging on to every word that he says in the dressing room, on the training pitch. Jurgen Klopp, where the players absolutely loved him at Liverpool, didn't they? And I think at the very top, it is still about those top levels. It seems like they have to respect the manager fully and fully buy into their ideas and what they're doing.
But then that only comes when it's going well, or it's a lot easier to manage when it's going well. So you talk about Pep, obviously he's won everything that there is to win. He gets the team playing unbelievable football. Everyone's so bought into that. When he then goes through a rut and they're not performing very well, that's where that balance probably then does shift. And it's hard as a coach. You have to manage that, don't you? I think that's what it comes down to. Is you talk about Sir Alex, throughout his tenure at United, everyone respected him. He was the one that was the most important in the players' eyes. If the results started to waver and he went through a really tough time, actually the players then might start to think, actually, no, I'm more important. You're giving me the wrong information. And that's when you do then see the player power almost. Because you've seen teams where the whole team just stops playing for the manager, don't you?
That's where blame comes in, and that's where the shift in blame culture, I think, within football needs to be remedied, because that's what happens within the professional game, isn't it? If Pep loses another 2 games, like, it's obviously unthinkable, unheard of almost, but the blame sits with him.
Yeah.
Which is crazy given everything that's happened over the last few years. I don't think there'd be too much blame pointed at the players.
And I think that's where, like, what City are going through at the moment, Man United went through that a lot of times under Sir Alex, and I think that's where the relationships, the characters that he's brought in, that he trusts and knows so well, that's where they come to the fore. I think if it's at another team that are at the bottom of the league and they've not achieved the success that Sir Alex, Pep, Klopp has achieved, then it gets to the point where you said, where it looks like they're down tools and they don't try or play as much for the manager.
I think you do see that happen, and you like, it's mad really, isn't it, that you see a whole team sort of stop playing for the manager and then a new one comes in and then suddenly everyone's like, just completely changes how they play. It's just crazy really. That the thing that probably then sways the power in the form towards where the players' side of things is because of their contracts. So like, it's a lot easier to get rid of a manager than it is to get rid of 6 players. And ultimately, because the club is always purchasing the players or investing in the players, because their contract is often longer than what the manager's is, it's really hard for a manager. Because you talk about Sir Alex, everyone bought in because it's his players, because he was there so long. The challenge with modern day, and your question earlier on, do you think that's changed over time? I think it has, because managers aren't given long enough at clubs?
I think, I don't think professional footballers consciously down tools and don't try for the manager. And I just don't think that's what professional footballers do. But I think when you lose trust and motivation in what you're doing and who you're working for, I think that shows as a collective within a group. I just think it is...
It's probably the same thing though.
Yeah, but like the way that you you see a whole team... And
I think it can. I've seen that once. I won't mention... I've seen a whole group of players within a professional football club turn completely against the manager to the point where it's poisonous. I think that can happen.
Yeah, like in my experience within football, like I don't know sort of what that is where you were like when that happened. Like it sounds
it's
not
have a guess.
A particularly professional environment.
We're my grassroots club, mate. When I was an under 8.
We turned everyone. You were on the bench, turned everyone against the manager.
I said, let's just stop playing, and we all walked off the pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, look, on that note, I think we better move on swiftly to Chaddy's quickfire questions. Chaddy, have you ever seen a player, maybe not a whole team, but one player down tools and not respect the manager and not play for him?
Yeah, I think I've seen that sort of many times. It'd be wrong of me. I'm not going to mention any
Name them.
But I've seen, and I can see it from both sides in terms of a lot of the time the manager may be trying to move them on and sort of banish them to train with the kids and that sort of thing, and the player just say, like, I'm not doing that. I'll just come and go in the gym. I'm not going to train with the kids. And I think it happens. It is rife in football. There is like the player power, the manager power, and you see it from both sides. But I think I've seen individuals do it, but I've never seen a whole group of players.
I've got 2 questions then, just to follow up. One, can you tell me off and behind the camera who those players were?
No, it'd be wrong of me to speak about other players' careers.
He'll tell me.
As soon as this goes off, I'll say.
And then my other question is, have you ever down tools or no?
Never. The ultimate professional.
Cool. What, when we were watching you play at Cambridge, you were trying?
Do my best. 4-man Le matches, 7 games.
So my question is timely for this time of year. New Year. Any New Year's resolutions, Chad?
Yeah, I think my New Year's resolution is to get a little bit fitter. I'm hoping to smash my 10k time in a race in 2025. So I'm getting myself back out there on the roads early in the morning, running my little socks off.
Fantastic.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing everyone on season 4 of the Football Fun Factory podcast.